So let's have the question. Superwoman option 1 has no struggles. Option 2 is overcomes her struggles. And option 3 is avoids her struggles. But I have to say, I disagree with both of you, and I'm going to tell you why. For this, we need to rewind back a bit. We were talking about Carl Jung's theory of archetypes. Let's just revise that a bit and then let's bring it into the Superwoman's story. Now, why did we look at it from this point of view? Did you notice what Jung was telling us about the hero? She has to balance so many things in her life if she wants to really end up as a hero character. Right from birth, we didn't choose this life. We didn't choose to be born. We didn't choose the circumstances we were in. We didn't choose our journey. But we can choose to either avoid everything and fall back in despair, or we can choose to go on the quest and finally end life in an integrated, heroic way. That could be your story.
Hi, welcome to Soch with hSA,
where philosophy, practical theology, pedagogy, and psychiatry meet.
We are continuing our series on the advent of the woman hero.
And we have 3 myths in this series. First is the myth of the super mom, second is the myth of the superwoman, and third is the myth of the disruptive woman.
This is on the topic, the myth of the superwoman. To discuss this, I'll hand over to Dr. Johan. Who is the superwoman?
All right, everyone. We will start with a question, just as we normally do in this set of videos. So we'll start with a question. We'll give you time to think through the answer, and then we'll spend some time discussing the answer, and we'll round off at the end with some reflection, with some music. So if you want to listen to some nice music, wait till the end of the video. So let's have the question. All right. Superwoman. All right. Superwoman. There you see. Okay. Now, what about Superwoman? Superwoman option 1 has no struggles. That's the first option. So, Superwoman has no struggles. Superwoman overcomes her struggles. That's option 2. And option 3 is Superwoman avoids struggles. So option 1 is Superwoman has no struggles. Option 2 is Superwoman overcomes her struggles. And option 3 is Superwoman avoids her struggles. So think about that for a few seconds. And now let me ask our friends Praveen and Angie for their opinion.
Okay, I want to go with option 1, a superwoman who has no struggles. Because she is superwoman. She can't have struggles.
Okay, I think the third one is the more appropriate answer. It's avoid struggles. Because they are smart enough, they will avoid struggles and have success all the time. I think that's why that's what makes them a superwoman.
Okay, so I hear both of you and interesting points there, but I have to say I disagree with both of you. All right, and let me just for a moment look at what your points were. Praveen looked at this as point number 3 and said Superwoman avoids struggles. So doesn't really take up any, a person who is a superwoman doesn't take up anything that should be a struggle. Maybe, maybe not, but I don't agree with that. At least that's not the narrative or the myth I'm trying to put forward here. Angie looked at the first one saying Superwoman has no struggles. Maybe she meant something like superwomen are just born that way. They're born good at everything. They're born with so many talents and they just happen to be naturally good at everything. So, what struggles? I mean, why do you even talk about struggles? Is that what you are thinking?
Yes.
All
They're
right.
born.
That's what she
Super.
thinks. Again, I'm not too happy with that option, although I don't deny that there are many talented women who are born with lots of skills. I don't think that tells the whole story of the superwoman. So I think it's the middle option that's the right one. Superwoman overcomes struggle. And I'm going to tell you why. For this, we need to rewind back a bit and go to some of our previous videos. That's 2 videos ago, where we talked about the hero archetype. Don't know if you remember that. The hero archetype. We were talking about Carl Jung's theory of archetypes. If you want, you can go back and look at that some other time. But what was Carl Jung's archetype of the hero? Let's just revise that a bit and then let's bring it into the superwoman's story. All right. So, according to the hero archetype idea, the hero is usually someone um, who starts off very insignificantly. Classically in all the great stories, epics, novels, and what to say, movies, and all those things that inspire us. You have the hero who's usually from a very humble origin, often can be an orphan or someone with a disease or who's somehow disabled or weak or poor or something like this. You usually see that pattern. And suddenly, out of the blue, the hero is set on a journey or on a quest or on a mission that he or she could not have ever imagined. And usually, it's not by choice, it's not voluntary. They are either pushed there by various factors. There may have been a prophecy about uh, this quest and the fact that this person is meant to be doing it, or there may be some circumstances in life that push the person into that. There could be just some absolutely, lucky set of circumstances that push the person there, anything like that. But it's usually not something that they choose voluntarily. They're often destined for that, and it's not really in their control. That's the classic beginning of the hero in the hero archetype. But what happens along the way? Usually the hero learns something. There are people uh, that come along on the way and teach the hero things. He has mentors or he encounters characters whom he can emulate and learn from. He also encounters some not so nice characters who might actually be his antagonists. Sometimes he overcomes them and learns. Sometimes he just learns from them. Sometimes he acquires weapons or skills along the way. And all this is happening. There's something happening to him as he goes along the journey. And usually the hero story culminates in one great big antagonist at the end, whom the hero has to face. Classically, in the great myths, something like a monster or a dragon or something of that sort, but need not always be something so graphic, but a great antagonist or villain or something like this, who is usually way beyond the powers of the hero as the hero began. And that's what sets up a tension in the hero story. There is a weak and somehow unworthy hero who is somehow chosen to go and fight this absolutely astounding villain or antagonist. And you see that eventually the hero gets the skills required, gets the weapons required, gets the virtues required, and then faces his or her antagonist, and then usually overcomes the antagonist, whatever that antagonist is. And at the end of that whole thing, the hero usually returns home, but he or she is not the same person who left home. So that's an interesting part of the hero myth or the hero archetype. It's not exactly circular. The hero does come back to his or her place of origin, but he or she is not the same person who's coming back. Something has changed along the way. He or she has improved. He or she has gained something, gained character, gained virtues, gained skills, and is certainly a different person from the person who set out on the quest. So, this is the great hero archetype that Jung put forward, and you can see this pattern in so many stories and myths and things that we like. Now, why am I telling all this? Let's get back to our superwoman story. Now, why did we look at it from this point of view? Did you notice what Jung was telling us about the hero? The hero has to go through certain struggles in order to get the qualities which enable him or her to face the antagonist. How does he or she get those struggles? Not by virtue of their birth, not by virtue of their luck, but it is by virtue of starting their quest, taking the trouble to set out from their quest, sorry, from their home and go on this quest, taking the trouble to face the challenges that come, learning through the people and circumstances that he or she encounters, and getting everything ready to finally face the big threat. And of course, each threat is a threat until it escalates up to it concludes with the finale of the great dragon or antagonist at the end. But there are little dragons along the way or little antagonists along the way, and each one has to be faced in order to be overcome. You can't overcome without facing the struggle and taking the struggle head on. It doesn't happen automatically just by birth, and you can't do this by avoiding the quest. So, if you avoid the quest, there is no growth, there is no antagonist that is overcome, there is no hero because you're just at home. Now, you might argue again, what's the whole point? The hero comes back home at the end anyway, but he doesn't just sit there. Even though he's at home, he's a different person when he reaches back home because of the journey he's been through. So, coming back to our superwoman problem and the question we were talking about. So, the struggles of life, whatever it is, struggles of balancing things, the woman has to certainly balance a lot of things. She has to balance her work, she has to balance her studies, she has to balance her finances, she has to balance her home. Within the home, if she's married, she has to manage her spouse and her children. If she's unmarried, she still will have other responsibilities with parents or others as well at home on the domestic front. She has to balance so many things in her life if she wants to really end up as a hero character, if she wants to take on this superwoman role. And again, we're trying to make the superwoman in a positive light. We want to take the myth in a grand, positive way and not in a negative way of being an overstressed person, because that's true. Stress is there. Stress is going to be part of the story. Suffering is going to be a part of the story. But then again, you can't become the hero without also setting out on the quest, without also facing your dragons, and without also, you know, overcoming your struggles and gaining character and virtues along the way. So that's the whole point of what we were trying to say. We're trying to say that it's important to remember the role of struggle in growth. And it's not possible really to have growth without struggle. And normal human development really is like this. It's not just for the super moms or super women. Today we're talking about that. But for the human being as a whole, right from birth, we didn't choose this life. We didn't choose to be born. We didn't choose the circumstances we were in. We didn't choose our journey. But we can choose to either avoid everything and fall back in despair, or we can choose to go on the quest and go through the different stages of development and life, face the challenges, overcome each stage, and finally end life in an integrated, heroic way. That could be your story. So, all the best to the super women out there.
Oh, wow. That was amazing to know the importance of overcoming struggle to be a superwoman. And to add on more, Dr. Praveen, you have to say something?
Yeah, and just to remind our viewers that in our understanding the psyche course as well as in the psychosocial development course, we deal with these this topic and these issues also. So it's a reminder for our viewers to check out either of these courses. We do have some packages which include these courses as well. So we have the Rainbow in Deluge flagship course, a flagship course for just less than 600 inclusive of GST. We have that flagship course at a reduced price. We have a special Women's Day package, the package which contains the Rainbow in Deluge course as well as the psychosocial development course for 800 rupees inclusive of GST. And we do have the Understanding Child Development for Parents and Teachers. It's a package which contains both the psychosocial development course as well as the cognitive and moral development course. Both of these courses for rupees 1000 inclusive of GST. So just wanted to remind our viewers to check out these courses at our website. The link for these packages are given in the description of this video. Please do check out and see if it is helpful for you.
All right, dear viewers, it's time to get to our guided reflection time. And as usual, we have some music for you. Think about what we talked about, the superwoman myth in the positive way, and the hero archetype that Jung talks about, and how you can do this by embracing struggle. Think about all of this. So think of the hero archetype. Think of what Jung said. Think about looking at overcoming and not avoiding struggle, but facing struggle head on and embracing struggle as part of what leads to character growth, and not being frightened and avoiding it, because that is not the path to being a hero.
Dr. Praveen, what to expect in our next video?
So we finished the second myth, and in the next video, we'll be going to the third myth, the myth of the disruptive woman. So viewers, thanks once again for joining us on Soch with hSA.
Goodbye, viewers. It is hSA signing off. Until we meet again, stay healthy, stay Soching.